Hey y'all, it's Tony from Ropes and Wings, and I'm here with Chad Mowry from Greater Things. And we wanted to get together with you and talk to you about hypnosis. Why is hypnosis demonized by the church, by other avenues? Why is theater hypnosis looked down upon? And we want to explain that.
Or
So
kick it around at least, huh?
kick it around and try to bring some light to it. Because Chad and I were both raised pretty strict in a strict church. Chad probably went a little further with some teachings and stuff in that environment than I did, because
Sure.
as a kid, I just didn't make any sense to me, and I didn't want any part of it. But but
Right.
uh, but we were raised that way, and hypnosis, meditation, Reiki, energy healing, all that is demonized by the church. Um, and says it, when people don't understand it right away, it's made out to be evil.
Yeah.
So,
Totally agree with the assessment there, Tony. I went much further actually. I went to Bible college. I have 4 years of Bible college under my belt. Um, so I was all in. And things change, very legalistic in the upbringing in terms of rules, standards. There's just a lot of rights and wrongs, a lot of dress, a lot of outward appearance stuff. And I moved away from that over the years, slowly. My wife and I, and then after 20 years of marriage, my ex-wife now left, and that just turned my world upside down, and was not so legalistic anymore, but still very much. Um, Hypnosis definitely would have been really wrong. Uh, and so, but that has opened my mind, forced me to reevaluate everything I believed. Really, is what that caused when the ex left. So that was my journey. And I'm not a hypnosis healer like you are, Tony. I'm doing some coaching, and that focuses a lot on energy and blocks. Perhaps people are more familiar with the coaching than the hypnosis. But even that, life coaching is still a lot of misconceptions around that, I guess. But at least it's not demonized as much, right?
yeah, yeah.
It's not
Well,
so
with
woo woo.
right. Well, with coaching, you're working with the conscious mind. Um, whereas
Yeah,
hypnosis,
that makes sense.
we're working with the subconscious mind, the programmings there that might have been put there when we were kids. Um,
Hmm.
we're all in a state of hypnosis up until around 7 years old. For some reason, that year, that time, we snap out of it. We're in hypnosis. We're absorbing everything we're watching and seeing. So we're in a state of hypnosis then. So if you had a trauma before that time, you might have to go back into hypnosis to find that trauma, find that issue that happened to you when you were younger. If if that
Now
makes
you
sense.
you use the term hypnosis. So how many? Tell me what is hypnosis? Give us a description, and then what is there more than one form? I guess.
Well, so hypnosis, we're all in a state of hypnosis numerous times a day. Um, right away when we wake up in the morning, you're still in a state of hypnosis. When you're doing things throughout the day, just mundane things like washing the dishes, driving the vehicle, watching TV, you're in hypnosis. That's why it's called television, because we're basically getting programmed while you're watching TV. You're in hypnosis then, and definitely before you go to sleep at night, right before you go to sleep at night, you're in a state of hypnosis. So we are always in hypnosis throughout the day, and it's quite normal. So to me, hypnosis is basically and I tell my clients this, it's like a daydream. So we all daydream throughout the day, and you're completely conscious and aware. You're not under anything. There's very few people that don't remember anything when they come out of hypnosis. So it's like a daydream for most. How you see things in a daydream is how you'll see things in hypnosis. You're just in a deep, relaxed, meditative state. Now, all those words are probably demonized by the church, meditation and all that, but you're just,
Meditation certainly is
yeah,
largely, I would say. I know that my current perspective is that it's really like prayer, and so
right.
I don't agree with that. But
And
so a deep meditative state is are some words that stand out for me. And I guess, I still have some of my own triggers. Like when you say, "Hey, we're all in a state of hypnosis until we're about 7," that sounds negative to me. Like I still get this negative feeling of this hypnosis, this hypnotic state that feels negative, and that is not. I guess that's not right. That I don't think that's your view, and as I think about it, it's not mine because I think as a child, that's a beautiful way of being. Like we are yet uncorrupted by society so much, and our
mhm,
parents, and just the standard cookie cutter format that society is sort of trying to stamp on us all. I think
right,
the toddler years are, I don't know, I like to use toddler analogies a lot. I think that that's a better way to do life in so many ways.
right,
So hypnosis is mostly a positive thing.
right.
um
I think so. I
now,
wonder
now
if
the other one was the TV, though. Like we're sitting there in a state of hypnosis being programmed. Is that positive?
it could be. Depends what you're
Could be.
watching.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Could be. It just depends what you're watching. And I guess that trigger for you is, was it the way we were brought up, the way we were taught that hypnosis as a kid, being in that state of hypnosis as a kid, that negative trigger, was that something that we were just taught that we were, looking bad upon it?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Just the term hypnosis
Right.
does feel, just as I think about it right now and process it out loud, there's definitely a negative sense that's there in my subconscious, if you will,
Hmm.
still around it that I have to actively, rationally uh, tweak.
Right. So, and hypnosis, like as a kid, you don't agree as a toddler, you're basically a sponge. You're taking in everything your
Yeah.
parents are doing, you're learning, you're just taking it in. You're just learning it all. So you're in a state of hypnosis when you're young like that, taking it in. You don't really need to be taught anything. You're watching and observing, and that's really kind of all hypnosis is. You're in a daydream state, you're daydreaming, and you're just watching and observing things that are happening around you.
See, I guess the thing that's missing there, or that I'm not quite connecting yet in my own head, is which not everything connects, right? I have to be okay with that, but can't figure everything out. But um, the daydream state, that feels like there's still this sense of, okay, when I'm sleeping and dreaming, it's not the same as reality, and it carries less weight. And I personally want to put more and more weight into dreams and the signs and messages that we can obtain there and
Hmm.
in hypnosis, I guess, than ever before. And but there's definitely, I think, a mainstream idea of, well, if you're just dreaming, that's not a positive, that's not really a positive thing. That's not real life.
Hmm.
How would you respond to that?
Do you really want me to go there? And my thoughts on this is,
Should we be dreaming all the time? Is that good or bad? I don't know.
yeah, yeah, because to me, dreams that we have at night are we're observing other experiences that our soul is having. Um, and I think the reason why dreams are so convoluted is because the human mind can't understand what is being seen. So it puts in all this stuff that it does understand, which makes it confusing.
Hmm.
Because if it was in another dimension, another world, something that your soul is experiencing, and the brain puts in something from this world here that it understands, it's not going to make any sense.
Hmm.
Now, that's not all dreams are to me, though. Dreams can be messages. It could be things. I mean, I, I experience dreams where I'm in a classroom type setting in a like a grand auditorium where we're learning something.
Hmm.
I've had that experience in dream many times, and I think because our soul does not have to rest, the body's resting, it's traveling. But again, we're getting way woo woo. I
Hmm.
mean, that's something that the church that we were brought in would not agree with.
Yeah.
But
Well, and I think, honestly, anything, what the definition of black magic comes to mind. I don't remember who is credited with it, but any technology sufficiently far advanced is indistinguishable from black magic. So anytime, we have technology that we're familiar with, electricity and lights, for instance, maybe
mhm,
would be a good example. Like that does not seem like magic to us. That's just, yeah, we know, we understand that, we're familiar with it. But the truth is, if there's that movie, what is that, a Yankee in King Arthur's Court or whatever, where the guy who goes back in time and he knows of all these advanced technologies that nobody else knows about. And so if you brought someone from hundreds of years ago, a couple hundred years ago, before they had electricity or knew anything about it, and you brought them here and you flipped on the lights, that would just be absolutely astonishing and amazing and a little scary, right?
mhm,
And so I definitely think I use the term woo woo for things that sound a little out there, that we're very unfamiliar with, that we don't understand, that we question. But that doesn't mean they don't exist, right? I think they're there all the time.
mhm,
There's a lot of things like that. I've definitely experienced so many things in my life that I cannot explain, intuition or spiritual experiences or things that feel like guidance or something, divine guidance, divine happenings. And instead of running from that and trying to explain them all as logical, I desire to embrace them and, um, seek to learn more,
mhm.
even if I can't understand them.
Mhm.
Another thought that comes up for me in thinking about the church calling it wrong, evil, demonic, I believe the church actually has teachings in the Bible and a few people that teach these things from the Bible that are really woo woo, very spiritual, very uh like this battle between good and evil that's going on in this spiritual realm. But my experience in the church, anyway, growing up, is they're actually, most of them are kind of afraid of that too. Like they don't spend much time talking about that. They have the American church today, evangelical American church today that I'm familiar with, runs away from it. And they actually run more towards what we called science at one point, right? As far as like, no, we can probably come up with a natural explanation, a scientific explanation for everything that happens in this life, and there is no spiritual world, really. They actually, I feel like they lean in that direction. They're like, nope, everything that you need to know, you can find in the Bible, and that's all you should be seeking. And
Mhm.
when it gets, if you have a woo-woo experience, if you have a spiritual experience, you need to question if that came from the good guy or the bad guy. And I don't know, you just shouldn't trust it. Trust the Bible. Don't trust an experience. And yet I think there's stories in the Bible and definitely teachings that are very much no, trust the Spirit. Christian teaching is that we are filled with the Holy Spirit of God, and which is very similar to us all being one, right? And at least I believe that now.
Mhm.
But Christians are scared to death of that. They don't. I don't know why. Fear. I think it's all fear.
Fear, because the way it was set up, and that would the church was basically based on fear,
Yeah, fear and control.
fear, and control. if you did something wrong, you're going to hell.
hmm which is control.
Which control, yeah. And
I just go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I just saw that. I think it was George Carlin. I don't know. It popped up on one of the video platforms the other day where he was talking about. He was saying he doesn't believe in God at all,
Hmm.
but he was making fun of the religious teaching. I think he went so far as to call out Christians. Maybe I'm not sure, but he was saying that this applies to most religions, I guess. That God is like this all powerful being that has created everything. And then he was talking about how, well, why is all this evil going on in the world? And, God's doing a poor job. And so he doesn't really believe in him as much. But he owns everything and controls everything, all of your life. And yet he somehow needs money. Because the church is just always asking for money.
I think I
So
saw
it
that.
was it's definitely pretty humorous and has a lot of truth in the way that we believe in the Christian belief about God and many religions beliefs about God, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, but as soon as it's just like your analogy of if you took someone um, from the past and brought them to the future, flipping on a light would be magic, would be woo woo,
Absolutely.
would be evil possibly, and because they don't understand it.
Yeah,
And
evil. I think it would be like when I look at the church today, they would describe, anything unknown like that is definitely, it feels like, okay, let's just stay away from it. It's probably evil. It might be evil. It's maybe even probably, let's just play it safe and run away from it.
mhm, yeah,
I think it's all coming from fear.
it right because that's how we are programmed.
Demons are scary. Hypnosis is unknown. Starts to make it feel scary. It's probably a demon. Even though, like you point out, we all do it every day when we sleep, huh?
Right, yeah. And so basically, as a hypnotherapist, I'm not doing anything. I'm just a voice guide. I'm just a voice guide to help you get into that relaxed state
hmm
to help answer the questions that you need answers. Because in that relaxed state, you come up with the questions that you need to get answered.
hmm
And so I'm just a voice guide. I'm just there to just help you stay in that state and answer the question or ask the questions for you. Not doing anything crazy. We're just whatever we come up with, whether it was emotional trauma or something like that along the line, we're
Yeah.
gonna we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna ask to be there in my conscious state, my awake state, and you're in your, you know, um, subconscious state, the relaxed state. I'm gonna help you to figure out what we need to see.
I really like your description of the conscious versus the unconscious. And, so like coaching, I would say even therapy and things like that have been really helpful to people in our current society, and have been accepted by even the church in most cases, um, where you're trying to help somebody tap into their. I mean, I'm going to go to my coaching and the training that I've had, and
Hmm.
and that is the energy blocks they call it, but it could just be mental blocks but they're all conscious. We're always working in the conscious, and hopefully we find something that we don't even realize. It's almost that it is subconscious, but it comes into the conscious because we're having a conscious conversation and questions. So we're trying to find the things that we're stuck on or the blocks that are hurting us in life or holding us back, but always in the conscious level. And
Hmm.
hypnosis is um, us tapping into the subconscious because there's probably blocks there, and trying to find those as well. That really that makes a lot of sense to me. Kind of
So,
crystallizes.
so you're a conscious coach. I'm a subconscious coach,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's
and the
that's about the best way to explain it that I can think of right now. This. Yeah,
right, and a lot of our programming, a lot of our teaching and stuff that we are brought up raised is in that lays in that subconscious level.
Maybe we should call it dream therapy or something. You're a
Well,
dream coach.
that's
Would that be less demonized?
it would be because of course I could picture a few people in the church saying that that was too
Well,
woo
of
woo
course,
evil because
it still would. Yeah,
dream therapy
yeah,
that sounds bad.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean it should be termed something else. I mean it really it's a regular state for us, and hypnosis has been given a negative term.
mm,
Just like I said when we're in a state of hypnosis when we're kids, that brought up a negative connotation.
yeah, yeah. I personally, when I think of it as in dream therapy, that it's a way to introduce you to get you in connect with your subconscious or in that same state that you're in when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. That actually does resonate with me. Feels less negative a term.
Hmm.
And again, rationally, I don't think hypnosis should be or is a negative term, but it's also true when I just sort of feel it that there's something in there that holds back a little bit from the term hypnosis. So dream works better for me.
How about how
It's
about
still fear.
how about theta healing? We can call
Theta.
it
Well,
theta healing.
okay. Well, that sounds definitely high tech and unknown. And so if you're going for that, sure. But
So
but dream is more for me more natural, right? It's a state that I can relate to, right? And I certainly can't be scared of. Everybody does that every day, right? So,
mhm.
um,
So well, we have the brain theta where I got theta. Theta is a brainwave state.
mhm,
So
mhm.
theta low alpha is where we're trying to keep the client in hypnosis.
Okay,
Low alpha theta brainwave state. If you fall into delta brainwave state, your dream state, you're sleeping.
okay.
Um,
And then you're not going to remember. Is that
Probably not. I mean, just like a dream.
might stop responding?
Most of the sessions are like a dream. Like after you come out of the hypnosis session, you start forgetting what actually happened quickly,
Okay. Uh-huh.
and that's the reason we record it so you have a record of it of what
I
happened.
see.
It's like a dream
Uh-huh.
journal. But
Right.
but in most cases, you pretty much remember all of it,
Okay.
and and then in the fact that the conscious mind kicks in and starts fighting with you and trying to convince you that you made it all up and everything is
Right.
so. And it's just like when I guess when we come out of a dream, your conscious mind goes, well, that it wasn't real, or
Right.
trying to explain it.
Yeah.
um so yeah, but that's why I called it theta, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. I get it.
the brainwave state we're in.
Understood.
um
Okay.
so yeah, we would just come up with a different term. I think it'd be fine, but we're all there all the time.
Yeah.
And I even joke when I say that I'm going for a meditation that I'm going to go in a recliner and go meditate. Well, I'm going to fall asleep,
Yeah.
but that really is hypnosis. That is meditation.
hmm I suppose some of these, I mean, these would definitely be demonized as well by the church, but some of these uh drug, mushroom, peyote, I don't know, there's various things out there, and I don't want to weigh in on which ones are good and bad or whatever. But um people go on dream journeys or spiritual journeys, and I mean, again, I mean, we see addictions and some of the challenges that come out of that. We see some effects that seem like they're more what we would call negative, right?
Mhm.
But I personally can't deny that there seems to be a lot of positives as well, right? There are people that really say that their lives have been changed significantly and for the better after some of those experiences. I guess those are very much also a way to tap into the subconscious.
So, well, and the reason that they're demonized so bad is because they're helping people. They're healing people.
They're breaking away the fear, I mean.
So I can only talk for mushrooms because that's the only thing that I've ever done a journey with is mushrooms.
Uh-huh.
And you can't become addicted to mushrooms because I could take it one day do a mushroom journey one day, and the next day I try to do the same thing, and it will not
Mhm.
happen.
Mhm.
It will not happen. It doesn't work like
Mhm.
that.
Okay. Huh.
So, but there's a medical reason for why the mushrooms actually help. So, and there's research out there that
Yeah,
mush,
that's a growing
mushroom
field. Mhm.
mushroom psilocybin actually creates um, new nerve pathways or heals nerve tissue.
Yes,
Not heals nerve
I've heard
tissue.
this.
It
Hmm.
reconnects the nerve tissue that's
Right.
been severed.
Yep.
So, and the reason that I started microdosing mushrooms, and that's just taking a small dose, it's not the psychotic effect,
Hmm.
is because my buddy he had fallen with a glass and severed the nerves in his hand. And
Okay.
so the doctor told him he had massive surgery on the hand. The doctor told him he'd never have feeling in that hand again. And he
Mhm.
said, well, fuck that. That's not going to happen. So he started researching them, and he found that psilocybin actually regrows nerve tissue. And so he started microdosing um, psilocybin. He has feeling back in those fingers.
Wow.
So if you think of it in the way in the spiritual aspect of that the connections that were cut off from our teachings, our programming,
Hmm.
disconnecting the left to the right side of the brain, all of a sudden those nerve connections grow and reconnect to where they're supposed to be. So now you're able to see all that is and how things are connected and everything is one,
Hmm.
because it's regrowing the nerve tissue.
Hmm.
Now stuff like lion's mane actually heals the nerve pathways that are there. So it'll repair the myelin sheath around the nerves. It'll heal the existing roads. But psilocybin makes new roadways.
Mm.
If that makes
Okay.
makes sense.
I've heard bits and pieces of this. I don't know. I thought psilocybin was a semi-generic term for most mushrooms, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
It's
I
it's
haven't
the
studied.
it's the psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin. That's the term for it.
That's the okay. Okay, I got you. But there's a lot of different. Like I mean, think we're just scratching the surface too in terms of what all's out there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely a growing field. And my son has sort of awakened me to a number of these things with all the stuff that he's sort of followed YouTube videos and reading and Paul
Stamets. Hmm.
Stamets, yeah.
Yeah, he's become
Excuse me, is a big name I know in the space
he's
online.
really big in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I don't really mess with the other stuff because it has to be synthesized by man. Um, the
Oh,
others
okay. You mean other than mushrooms? I got
mushrooms just come right
you.
from the earth. They're just you don't have to synthesize them at all. LSD is
Yeah.
LSD is taken from a fungus on the barley,
Oh,
and
I didn't know that.
it's
Okay.
synthesized by a man. That's kind of why it
Oh,
might be in the Bible about taking the because I I think they were doing LSD. They figured out how
oh,
to synthesize it.
no.
Maybe you know that verse in the Bible where they were talking about the barley.
I mean, there's some verses with the barley in them, but I don't remember anything about it that I can think of that would have
Hmm.
a spiritual connection. Barley was a sacrifice and different things sometimes, but
Yeah, I think they were doing journeys too back then.
well, I mean, it definitely. We have the story of Moses. Sorry, not Moses. Noah after the flood getting drunk. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? But yeah, Christianity definitely has currently anyway. What we know is Christianity. Most of us, um, demonizes a lot of things and is very. The more and more you look at it and think about it, it's very fear based.
Hmm.
There's a lot of control, a lot of things you have to do, a lot of things you have to avoid. Um, and of
And
course, they're going to object with the way I say that, but that's. That's what it feels like. You're not, you just might not make it. You need to be afraid, and you need to do all you can to be able to make it into heaven.
Hmm.
That seems to be the prevailing belief. And not all of them, right? But and they're good people. I'm not saying that, you know, they're
So
all evil.
it is coming from somewhere else. Everything that, just like the psychedelics. I mean, everything that is healing people and benefiting and helping people, it's demonized because we don't want people healed. We want people led by fear, so we can keep control of them.
Hmm.
We want them to stay sick. And I'm not just saying that's the church, but the church was probably the first system of control.
I think that's what it became. I
Yeah.
I still believe that the teachings of Christ are, they're what I hold up as my most reliable source, I think, still. And I consider myself a follower of Christ
Hmm.
still. But over time, more and more, I don't identify with the term Christian as it's known today.
Hmm.
So many issues, fear.
Hmm. So, and I guess
I-
as teachers, as coaches, as healers, we need to start abolishing those or getting rid of those fears and are helping people to get rid of those fears
Yeah,
that were
here's the
put down.
problem. We're talking a lot about Christianity, because that's the way we both were raised. But fear in general is a not a helpful thing, I think.
Hmm. And and even when you look at the witches and stuff, when they had the witch hunts and getting rid of witches, I don't think that they were burning or getting rid of any of the bad witches.
Yeah, I'm
They
afraid the
they
same.
they
Yeah.
were getting rid of the energy healers, the ones that are
Hmm.
using herbs to heal people because they were
Any,
doing
yeah, anybody that did woo woo stuff,
right, like we're doing now.
anybody that healed in an amazing fashion, which by the way, when you think about the stories of Jesus, if you believe what's in the Gospels, um, and the stories of his miracles, like he totally would have been burned at the stake as a witch.
Right.
In fact, he wasn't burned because back then they did crucifixion instead, but he was crucified.
Yeah. Yeah, but they would consider a witch, and we really
Hmm.
we really all are. They don't want that stuff getting out there. They don't want people to. They wanted people to go to the church for their healing, so they could have control, and they
Yeah.
control by fear,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's what makes sense to me.
It's a sad thing.
So and with hypnosis, it really, I mean, it's weird. It is weird, but if you could think of it as
Well,
be
sleeping's not weird. Dreaming isn't weird. We do that all the time.
right. So dream therapy is a good term for it, I guess. It's dream therapy. And I always love to ask questions about people's dreams or recurring dreams that they have too, to
Mm.
find out the
Hmm.
meaning of it and why they saw that. And it's really interesting.
I do strongly believe in that. And I don't really think that I have recurring dreams, or not that I've noticed. But a lot of people have them, and yeah, when you have a recurring dream, I think that's significant. Something There's probably a message in there, and it's probably metaphorical, right? Because yeah, they're weird a lot of times, but
Hmm.
I believe that we should pay more attention.
Right. And you know, I believe that our soul doesn't need to rest. Our body does.
That kind of makes sense to me. Yeah.
So our soul is off traveling, looking at the different aspects of the soul, possibly learning different things, getting training. I mean, I've had numerous freaking dreams of being in a conference room, being in a learning. I remember a dream, and I remember this vividly because my brother was there, and I think maybe you were there too. I don't know. It seemed like it
Oh.
was like my brothers and family were there somewhere in this conference room,
Hmm.
and my one brother, and I forget who it was. I forget. I think it was the youngest brother.
Hmm.
We both had come up to the coffee pot during a break in the class and no one made coffee and all it is grounds in the bottom of the coffee pot. And I'm like, we're here learning. Who in the world would not make coffee to keep us awake? So I'm a firm believer that our soul is traveling, it's learning, it's experiencing different things while the body's sleeping.
That's funny. Oh, the coffee.
Yeah, the
Maoris
coffee.
drink a lot of coffee for
We
some
do.
reason.
We
Seems
did.
like
Well, we did. I recently switched though now, and I'm drinking raw cacao in the morning instead of coffee.
okay. I still drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah. I guess thought I was putting a scoop of cacao in my coffee too, and
Hmm.
with my honey, I sweeten it with honey.
Maybe I should try that.
And I'm like, why am I putting a coffee in there? I don't really need the coffee.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
making me have to go to the bathroom and piss every 5 minutes.
So the cacao doesn't do that as much for you, you notice, or
No.
really?
And
Okay.
then I saw some research that the reason that you have to piss so much when you drink coffee is because of the fungus that grows on coffee, that your body's trying to get rid of those toxins.
Oh, I've heard it was a diuretic, but that's
What
all I
caffeine is
know.
supposed to be a diuretic.
That's caffeine, I guess. But so you would have some caffeine in cacao, right?
Yeah, you'd have a little bit probably.
Like,
I'm
and you
pretty
say
sure.
cacao, I mean, you're talking about like the
Oh,
chocolate stuff they use in baking, right? The powder, or is
right.
it something different than that?
So
Okay.
basically, cocoa is
Yeah.
refined cacao.
Oh, okay. So you
So
get something less refined than that.
raw cacao is not refined. It's just ground cocoa beans.
Where do you
Or
get this? Off of Amazon?
yeah, I buy it online
I'm
off of.
sorry, I'm off on a tangent now. I'm thinking, well,
Maybe
maybe
it's
I
right.
should start this. I don't know.
Maybe that's right.
You throw
Um,
some mushroom microdosing in there? Is that...
the other thing that I learned too, and the reason I got just started just drinking the raw cacao was because there it's just like nicotine. You know, nicotine they say is addictive. Well, there's research out there that says nicotine is not addictive.
Yeah,
And nicotine is not the addictive chemical, and tobacco isn't.
yeah, right.
It's the other stuff that they put in it.
They put in the cigarettes. Yeah.
That there's actually nicotine in tomatoes and
Mm.
many fruits and vegetables. There's nicotine in
Wow.
and some of them are really high in nicotine.
Well, I think.
Tomato
Oh,
is one of them.
really?
Tomato is one of
Really?
them.
Oh, I never heard that. I do think. I think I recall that tobacco is a nightshade, and I mean potatoes and tomatoes are nightshades.
Right.
I could be
So
wrong about that though.
tomatoes
But
high in nicotine.
huh.
So I don't know where I got on that tangent, but the coffee,
Yeah.
the coffee, I don't I don't think the caffeine is I don't
Really
know
the problem? Yeah.
really the problem. I think because there's caffeine in a lot of different things that we drink, and that's what that made sense to me. I watched that research or whatever on coffee, that it wasn't the caffeine that was making us, piss a lot. It was the body's getting rid of the toxins that are in the coffee bean, the fungus or whatever that grows in it. So it's getting rid of
Hmm.
those microtoxins that are there.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because
Yeah.
if you know, you're supposed to have whole bean and grind it and use it right there. You can't store it like we do in America because
Oh,
it
right.
starts growing a toxin and fungus on
Mhm. Hmm.
it.
Well, that's pretty far afield from the demonization of hypnosis. Huh?
No, we went off on a tangent. This is what the Maoris do. They go off on another long tangent.
But I think we knocked that one out, didn't we? We
We-
sufficiently demonized, undemonized. I don't know what's the term.
Well, I guess
It's just a dream.
it
It's just
goes
a dream.
it kind of goes along with it that, nicotine is not an addictive chemical.
Oh, well, that's been demonized by the church as well,
Right.
hasn't
Right.
it?
It's not an addictive chemical.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean we talked about
Coffee is okay in the church.
coffee's
Mostly.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Coffee and fried chicken. Fried, a lot of fat is good. Yeah. It's
But
fine.
is caffeine an addictive chemical?
You can eat yourself to death. That's okay. But you
Mhm.
don't you dare smoke or drink.
It's funny. That's funny. So, being that you have not gone through hypnosis yet, do you have any questions or things that come to mind about hypnosis? That's the thing.
No, I don't.
Being with our
Not that
background.
I can think of. Like I said, I realize that the hypnosis. I just discovered in our discussion today that there's still some negative something in there attached to it. The term,
Hmm.
just because of that seven up till we're seven, I kept thinking, well, I don't know if I agree with that because I don't like that. I don't. That sounds like a negative thing. Like
Hmm.
we're not like out of it until we're seven, and I don't think we are. It's a different state. It's a dream state. It's more. I think it's more present actually.
It
So
is.
I don't know how those things exactly connect, but I mean I definitely um I think that we're messed up in reality in this current society and life, and that we need to be more present.
Right. And I think
Um,
that's a good example though. And you use the analogy of the toddlers all the time. And that is the way that we are supposed to be being all the time is like
mhm.
kids
Yeah.
in
Yes.
the present, watching and observing and living our passion and imagining and playing and having fun. That's how we're supposed to be. But
Yeah.
it's been knocked and programmed out of us that we have a hard time being in the present, being in the now.
Yep. Yep. I agree completely.
And that's the way we should be all the time, constantly.
Live in a more dreamlike state. Huh?
Hmm.
Be
Absolutely.
present.
Absolutely.
And I do think both of these things, dreaming, being present, a lot of the a lot of that means less human brain work, less thinking on in the human brain part of
Hmm.
things. And it's made me question, as we've talked about this too, could it be that what you call hypnosis or dreaming is less about our brain and more about our actual essence, our subconscious, our, I don't know. Is there a difference between the subconscious and then the thinking that goes on in our brain? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I would say the subconscious is more, we're connecting with our soul, the true,
Heart.
our true self.
Hmm.
And, and like when you're thinking, when you're using the conscious mind, it just, the programming there gets in the way, I think, a lot
Yes.
of times. Like
Hmm.
the triggers that come up
Yep.
and all
Yep.
that stuff
We all have them.
that doesn't need to be there. And we need to tap more into our intuition like we were as a child. We need to tap into that intuition, which is
I like
demonized
that.
too, as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, I think the
The
church
feelings we
demonizes
get.
that. They
And
demonize feelings. They say no, you shouldn't be living based on feelings. I've heard that a lot.
and so someone had asked me when we had this discussion is how do you know that's who you're talking to, whether you're talking to good or some evil force or
Hmm.
something like that. Everything is in frequency and vibration, and how it feels is the deciding factor. If it feels icky and sticky, it's
Hmm.
probably
Gotcha.
not good
Right.
for you. If it feels you feel you have that loving, you have that love,
Yeah.
that
And
true. It's hard to even
and
describe that feeling.
and I've come to agree with that and believe in that. Definitely, though, I would say that's a new thing for me, right? In the past, and then I think largely the American evangelical church is going to shy away from that. That's too much based on feelings, too dangerous. It's just again, you should fear that and be careful.
Hmm.
But I definitely appreciate a lot of, I don't know what you call them. I mean, they would call themselves Christians, but they are pushing back against that approach, and they're saying, look, we have a direct connection to God. We should be led by His Spirit, and they're really seeking to listen to their intuition, right? Their heart, their soul,
Hmm.
voices in their head. I don't know what you want to call it, but I mean, it's not the normal, rational, and only the words that are in the Bible type of Christianity, and that is. that's been something that's really started. I don't know what the word is. Growing. It's kind of exploded into my life and in my perspective when I was seeking after the ex
Hmm.
my ex left and all that. I brought all that suffering on myself.
Hmm.
But yeah.
So I think for you and for me too, I mean, it's just like it's not happened gradually. It's been an explosive in nature. Like it just all of a
Both.
sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
there. It
Yeah.
makes sense. And I would even go as far as to say, as a lot of people that say that they're connected to the Holy Spirit, and they're probably not. And I'm referring to people that in the church.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, uh, they're probably not.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of them are connecting to something else that
Hmm. Hmm.
just
And
because
and in my experience, there weren't a lot that said that. There were some,
no,
and I agree with you. A lot of times, those were the ones that I was like, I'm not so sure, but more often, I feel like they ran away from that. They
right,
were afraid of that,
right.
and I think that is also not a helpful or healthy thing. I really believe in, I guess I would say, follow your heart, right? I really want to follow my heart, which, you use the word intuition. I think it's a similar thing.
Same thing. Follow heart. We
Yeah,
need to connect
yeah,
in the
like
heart space.
I want to live from the heart. That's the way I want to do life. I don't want to live any other way
Well,
anymore.
the heart knows well before the brain does.
Hmm.
And
And
there's even
sometimes the body, which is where your muscle
right. And the
testing and things come in. Hmm.
and the reason there's research on that too, that the heart knows way before the brain, way before anything else.
I
The,
am
the heart knows. And so
listen.
the spirit is that still, soft, loving voice that always has your best interest in the mind. It is not going to lead you
Yes,
astray. It is not going to tell you something that's shitty.
that's a good description. I like that.
It's a still, soft, loving voice that always
Hmm.
has your best interest in mind.
Not going to be beating you up.
It's not going to be beating you up. It's not going to be telling you're a shitty person or oh, you didn't get up on time this morning, so you're a
Mm.
waste. You're are terrible.
Ooh, I struggle with that one.
I know. So, but that is not the spirit. That is not if it's telling you anything else but other than stuff that's good for you. Loving, compassionate messages. It understands how difficult it is to be in this world.
Yeah. We need to let go of fear.
Right.
And even the Christian Bible has it in there. It says perfect love casts out fear, but
Mhm.
they're
And,
controlled by fear, it
and
seems
so
like.
even though that I didn't prescribe the way that we were brought up, I still had a lot of fear,
Hmm.
growing up as a kid,
You
hell,
still
hell,
believed
hell.
it somehow deep inside.
Yeah, deep inside. And I thought, well, shit, I hope that just before the time of my death that I actually ask for forgiveness and I make it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that was a serious trauma. And when I found out that that was not the case, you store your belief uh, issues or trauma with belief system in your lower back. And when I found that out, that wasn't the case. All of a sudden, my back pain went away that I used to have every morning, every day. It just went away. It wasn't there anymore, just because that was wiped out. And now that I'm doing sessions, I don't believe I believe in there's a hell, but I believe that humans create the hell. I don't believe that there's a hell that we're damned forever
Hmm.
and burn in fire for an eternity. I never believed that growing up as a kid.
Hmm.
It didn't make sense to me how a loving God would punish us for a wrong decision in this split second of a lifetime we're living
Yeah.
for an eternity. That doesn't make any sense to me. But now that I'm doing sessions in hypnosis and I'm talking to a lot of lost souls,
Hmm.
that's a lot of is religions, the belief systems is why they're stuck there in the first place,
All right.
is because they thought they weren't worthy to go home, to go
Hmm.
to the light. And so they have basically created their hell that they're living in,
Yes.
being stuck in this reality. And I believe that we, as living beings, living humans, we are creating the hell. That if we are living in a hell in this lifetime, we're creating it. We're making it.
Yeah.
God isn't
I
doing it.
I agree with that actually. I one of the core, I don't know, beliefs or statements, or I guess beliefs is the right word, um, that was iterated into coaching most recently, my training that I've been taking, is, and but I don't know who quoted it originally, but it is, pain is optional, or sorry, pain is unavoidable. Suffering is a choice or
Mhm.
optional. So pain is unavoidable. So physical pain, and maybe probably even a certain amount of emotional pain, um, is unavoidable. Some grief, but suffering is a choice.
Mhm.
Now it can be a subconscious choice, so we don't realize it, but it's what it is. And so the biggest example in my life is my ex left. There was a certain amount of pain, real pain that came with that, but it was very little. Most of the suffering
Mhm.
I created.
Mhm.
And it sucks to say that, right? And it also feels like, it almost feels like saying that excuses her and says, okay, she did not wrong me or hurt me in any way, right?
Mhm.
And I don't totally think that's not really the case, right? She did, make a commitment and then broke the commitment, and just didn't want to try anymore, right? And so that wasn't something I deserved necessarily, right? I was wronged in a way, but people come and go, and the suffering came from my attachment to her, to my idea of what marriage and family were, and the loss of that.
Mhm.
I believed that I couldn't be happy without, well, first it was without ever, being able to restore the marriage with her. And then it was, uh, a partner to replace her. And, that's still a sort of a desire that I have, but I have come to believe that attachment to any of those things creates all sorts of suffering in me and is not truly the way to go through life and to just be.
Mhm.
Just being present. The better we get at that is the absence of attachments to a house, a home, possessions, um, you know, certainly money,
Mhm.
people, any of those things, anything that I have an attachment to is going to pull me away from that naturally happy state, because attachments can be lost, and then I lose my happiness, right? My
Right.
happiness ends up attached to those things, um, and the fear of losing those things. And so less and less attachment is really the goal, my goal in
Right.
life.
And just be comes up so many times in sessions.
Hmm.
Just be in the present, be in the moment. And we talked about this before the show too, and that doesn't mean not doing anything. It's just being staying connected with your true self and doing things that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Resetting out in nature, exercising out in nature is a good way to be in the present. It's a walking meditation. Oh, but we just said a woo word. We don't
Meditation,
meditation.
prayer,
I mean,
walking prayer.
it's the same thing. So, oh, that just brought up something else too. So, laying hand. This has happened a lot of times in our church.
Mm-hmm.
Laying hands on somebody and praying over them,
Mm-hmm.
and that is okay. But Reiki, energy healing, and meditation are the same things as laying hands and praying over somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because everyone is channeling their energy to help that person to heal or help them. And it's just, it's one of those things that that's demonized, but it's the exact same thing.
Hmm. Now they don't practice it that much in
But not that
the
much. But
churches from what I've seen. But yeah, yes, I agree.
they
But
used
but
they
they're even a little bit afraid of it. I think, right?
yeah.
It's because okay, it doesn't usually work, or at least there's not visible results immediately, or most of the time, and so people get a little skeptical, and they're like, well, we don't want to get too trusting in this or rely on this, or then people lose their faith because they're trusting in healing, and then they're not healed, and
Mhm.
I don't know. There's a lot of rational arguments that make sense as to why you should avoid getting caught up in those practices. And so even though it's there in the Christian teaching very clearly, the Christian church largely, not all of them, but largely seems to kind of shy away from it. And I see, you know, sects, if you will, of the church that promote the healing and the prayer and the miracles. They get ostracized by the more mainstream church because they're like, oh, it's too woo woo. And the fear comes in. They're like, well, that's probably not really the spirit of God. It's fake. I don't know. There's all sorts of labels that get thrown around.
Mhm. So the reason those things aren't happening is the one important element is that we can't heal anybody.
Hmm.
That person has to believe they are the healers.
Right.
We're just giving them the space to do that.
Mm.
And just like in our coaching sessions, we are just creating a space. We're just creating a space for them to heal themselves. We are not healing anybody.
Right.
We are not the healers. They are the healers. And
It's interesting.
if
Yeah.
they need to see what they need to see to be able to heal, to make it balance in their mind, to allow the body to heal or do what it needs.
Yeah. That immediately brings up a lot of scripture examples,
Right.
Christ healing. And I think of the woman that had the issue of blood and she believed if she just touched his garment, she would be healed. And that is, in fact, what happened, according to the story.
Hmm.
Um, and like Jesus didn't need to do anything and say, hey, you're healed. Like she was healed when she touched his garment because she believed. And Jesus talked about the belief a number of times when he healed people. And I think of one guy, and I don't remember the full story fully well, but I remember him saying, I believe, help my unbelief,
Hmm.
um, to Jesus. And yeah, I think that actually lines up what you're saying there lines up so much with
Right.
what we find in the story of Jesus.
Mhm. We are not the healers. We're just holding space. We're just allowing them, giving them space to be able to find the root causes of their issues.
And if we don't believe or fail or can't believe or whatever, then we're blocking
Hmm.
the healing that could come.
Right.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The world is an abundant place.
Yes.
What am I doing to block the abundance?
Right. Right.
Ah.
It's a constant question. I mean, we're figuring it out as we go. We both are trying to figure it out ourselves too, and
Yeah.
it's good. So, well, do you have any parting words or anything that people need to take from this session today?
Oh, I mean, don't be afraid of your dreams.
Right. Yeah. No fear comes to mind. It's no fear. Have no fear. And if something makes you fearful, look into it, research it, find out why.
Mhm.
I would say look into it. Don't just deny it because it makes you fearful. Find out.
Yep. Yeah. And I say don't be afraid of your dreams. I am thinking multiple layers there, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah, absolutely.
hypnosis, the dreams that you have each night, pay attention. What can you learn? And then
Hmm.
also don't be afraid to follow your dreams, follow your heart, go for what you feel.
Right.
Don't be afraid of it.
No fear. No
Yep.
fear. Have no
Mhm.
fear. I think it says that a few times in the Bible too. No fear.
Yeah, it does. Christ said it several times. Yep.
But bring that T-shirt line back. No fear. I don't know
That
if we can.
slogan is definitely, I don't know that I heard anybody call it evil, but it was frowned on when I was in school, when I was a kid, and it was
Nope.
popular.
Oh, that's
That
right.
fact,
The T-shirts.
yeah, the no fear. Yep, that was frowned on.
What?
I remember that having a significant negative. I think
Why?
just because it was positive. I don't know.
Why? Why would it just? I
Well, I
don't.
guess because they believe in fear, maybe, huh? They won't admit it, but that's how we're controlling. I don't
Right.
know. That's a
Exactly.
theory.
Have no fear. I don't know. It's crazy. So beautiful. So we'll end it there. Thank you all for joining us. I'll have all the descriptions down for each greater things and ropes and wings down in there, so you can look us up. Remember that I'm running a holiday sale until January 1st at midnight. 15% off on the sessions, tuning forks, gift cards. Don't forget about the gift cards. You can buy that for someone you love, and that discount code's holiday 15. And you want to say anything else about yours, Chad?
Nah,
All right.
greaterthings.com. Still a work in progress. Happy to help however I can. Feel free to reach out.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love you all. We'll see you soon.